Yeah, the struggling part is basically the time management. You do have a full-time job that you need to really focus on, and you also have your own business that I need to focus on. So I prioritize my task, write to-do list, and prioritize 3 things I need to do every day and really focus on that. And it's hard to also do mind control. Like you have to also do not just the time management, but also the mind management. And I really try to take care of it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You're now watching Kinetic Outcome, and we are with Ashley Park, business woman, and also in corporate tech. Runs her own business, right? So this is going to be a little bit interesting. Actually, very interesting. But instead of me explaining everything, I think it would be more amazing if she does all the introduction, because she'll run out if I say it all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. I am Korean American, was born and raised in Korea, moved to the States when I was 16 years old. I moved to Hong Kong about 7 years ago. I work at a gaming company called Play Studio. I'm a senior partnership manager, doing partnership with big tech companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. But most people know me through my own fashion brand called 𝘼𝙨𝙝. I make my own tailor-made dress and jewelry and bags, and I've been running it for about 7 to 8 years, and I've been having so much fun. I like to call myself as like a storyteller and also a content creator. I love delivering content and tell stories through different social media channels. And I can't wait to share my stories with you, Hector. So excited to be here.
And yeah, we have notes just in case if we forget
okay, is
who
that
you
good?
are.
Was
I'm
that
kidding.
good?
Yeah, well, let's just have a little bit of a walkthrough first on the corporate side. Like, why did you get into this field? And also, after that, how did the business start?
Yeah. So I went to school in UC Berkeley, which is right near Silicon Valley. And a lot of people who went to my school, all they talked about was getting into either really big tech companies like Google, Facebook, and Apple, or starting your own business eventually. It was kind of like in my head, and it really got me thinking, oh, maybe I should also kind of pursue that career, because initially I wanted to do pre-med when I was in school, and I studied cognitive science, which is study of mind and the brain. And that's very different from what I do now, right? But since I was in Berkeley already, and my first job out of college, my first tech job, I landed at YouTube. And that's like dream job for everyone who went to UC Berkeley, right? Because YouTube still is part of Google. So when I got in, it was just so much fun. I love being in tech industry. Everyone in that field was super smart, very, very smart and innovative. And they were just thinking really forward. And I loved being in the environment. And after working there at Google for about 3 years, I got relocated to Google Korea to start a Google Play operation team. And when I moved there, I would go shopping to find clothes that can fit me and that I love. But I really couldn't find clothes that it fit me, right? Like the beauty standard there was just kind of ridiculous at that time. It's actually a lot better now, but like 10 years ago, they only have one size that fit all. Like they call it free size. It's either extra small or small, but I was pretty chubby back then, so I couldn't find any clothes that fit me, you know? So I would go to a department store, and everything was so expensive, like, because they're all imported from Europe or US. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna make this. I'm just gonna make a clothes that fit me. So I went to the fabric market and then got a really nice fabric that I love, and then brought it to the tailor. And I asked my tailor to make a wrap dress for me, kind of like what I'm wearing now. I'm a big fan of wrap dress because it's so versatile. It's very stretchy. It's good for work. It's good for going out. So I started wearing wrap dress that was very tailor-made to me. And then a lot of my coworkers at Google, they started reaching out to me saying, hey, I really like your dress. Like, where'd you get it? And I started making one for my coworkers, and that became 2, 3. And I was running a blog at that time, and I put it on my blog, which was very small. I was kind of writing like a diary style of blog. And I put it up there to see if anybody is interested in buying my tailor-made dress. And the first batch, I sold 30 pieces. And I was just mind blown because I was like nobody. I wasn't popular influencer, but I was just mind blown that people actually came out and bought my dress. And the second batch, I sold 60, became 100, 200, became thousands. And I've been running it ever since. It's been 7 years and it's been so much fun.
And to elaborate a little more on that, you're selling to over 20 countries now?
So I mainly focus on Korean market, but a lot of Koreans who live overseas in Hong Kong and Singapore or US, everywhere, like over different countries, they buy �莉𝙭 products. But they're mainly targeting Korean, and I'm planning on expanding it to other regions as well.
Okay. So when you were doing the full-time job and this as well, how do you balance it out? Or will you ever focus on just one thing in the future?
Yeah, the struggling part is basically the time management. You do have a full-time job that you need to really focus on. And you also have your own business that I need to focus on. So I prioritize my task, write to-do list, and prioritize 3 things I need to do every day and really focus on that. And it's hard to also do mind control. Like you have to also do not just the time management, but also the mind management. And I really try to take care of it.
And on top of that, the JTBC TV show.
Oh, yes. So
how do you manage all 3 now?
This is how we all met. Well, JTBC, it's interesting because I actually don't do this it's not an everyday thing. I started putting myself out there on YouTube for the first time a few years ago, and JTBC reached out to me looking at my content, and I started showing Hong Kong to the Korean audience with the cameraman over here, Ed. It is very time consuming, but it's also really fun. And I try to think of JTBC as kind of like telling stories of myself. I wear my dress to the show. So one, that's a marketing exposure. I live in Hong Kong, so it's good to showcase like Hong Kong to the Korean audience. My family loves it too. My family who live in Korea, they see it and they love it. But it's hard to manage, but it's also manageable. And I will only say yes when I can do it. Yeah, don't overcommit to yourself. I just recently read a book called Hell Yeah or No by 𝘼𝙭𝙧𝙠. I don't know if you saw that book, but it's an amazing book.
We'll check it out after.
It says if you don't say hell yeah to something, then just basically say no. And I try to follow that rule. And when JTBC opportunity came to me, I was like, hell yeah, I love that. So I decided to go forward.
Yeah, because I'm thinking corporate targets have to hit deadlines, and then your own business / this show and filming.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of things to do all at once.
Yeah.
But doing all of this together, in terms of explaining earlier how you did it, you love it all.
Of course. That's my motto. If I don't love it, I'm not going to do it. If I need to enjoy what I do in order for me to keep going. And the moment that I stop loving and enjoying what I do, that's the moment that I'm going to quit. But so far, I love working in tech companies. I learned so much being in corporate, working directly with my boss, who is the founder of the company. I love having �莉𝙭 as my creative outlet channel because you can't really be that much creative being in corporate, right? There's a limitation, but I love having �莉𝙭 as my creative outlet.
Freedom of expression.
Yeah, I get to be whatever I want in my own universe, and I love it.
Mm. And yeah, so along the way, building this and experiencing it, if someone wants to build something on the side, like what you did, what advice would you give to them? Because some would want to transition fully to the business, right?
Yeah.
So how did you plan and map out the whole thing? Besides the fact that you just started to create for yourself and then it
Yeah.
just flourished, right? But then now the business side of things, how did you expand?
So a lot of people ask me whether they should quit their job to start their own thing. And I think that's so risky. You should always start your business first as a side project because it is so nice to have stable income and stability coming in. For me, each product takes about 1 to maximum 2 years to make because I don't have the financial pressure to make money off of my business. And I just really make sure each product is like thoughtfully crafted and tested and approved. And people notice that, right? So in the beginning, when you first start the business, just start it as like a side project. Just put maybe 15% of your time and energy and money into starting a business and see how it performs. And if it takes off, then you can start thinking about quitting your job.
Okay. Well, are you in a position where you can actually be okay with just the business without your full-time?
Yeah, financially, my revenue of my fashion business, it surpassed my full-time job long time ago. So I can definitely quit my job. But so far, I still love being in corporate. I'm just learning so much from being in tech. So, I mean, I think about it every day, whether to just go all in and just stay 2 jobs at the same time. I still think about it every day, but I think so far I'm happy having 2 things on my plate because I can really just kind of balance it out. Whether if I want the stability, then I can go here. If I want my creative outlets, then I can kind of shift to 𝘼𝙨𝙝.
Okay. So potentially.
Potentially.
Cool.
But I think that's something that everyone thinks about if you want to start a business eventually. So yeah, potentially. I think about it every day, but it's been 7 years since I started thinking about that.
So in terms of like challenges and what's rewarding in the process, can you explain a little bit on that? Because you're going to have your bumps on the road, right?
Yeah. Having business is challenging every single day. Like there's bumps every day, but at the same time, it's so rewarding because I'm using 𝘼𝙨𝙝 as my creative channel, right? And I pour my soul into making something, whether it's a dress or jewelry, coat, bag, and I put it out there in the market and people buy it, wear it, and they just love it. You know, they love it and they give me positive feedback. And it's just so empowering to see what I make really kind of change their life and in a good way, right? So that is, I would say that is like the most rewarding part of having a business. But challenging part, after having 2 kids, man, time management is no joke. It's insane. I really have to prioritize my task, like always stay on top of everything, like write to-do list. What are the 3 things that I need to do every day? And also mind control, because you get burned out. You do so many things. 2 kids, I put like 40 hours a week at least with the kids and 40 hours full-time job. And you barely have time to yourself. So mind control, that's also been challenging, but it's something that I always think about and like be really conscious of.
Well, you did say in terms of education background, you learned something related to the mind.
Psychology,
So
yeah.
do you do meditation?
Yeah, I do meditation. I work out every day in the morning before kids wake up because that's like the only time that I have to myself. It's weird because that's like sort of meditating time for me. You know, you go in and you work out in the morning. You kind of invest in yourself, in your body. That's so good. And also, I have a therapist that I go to regularly, and I talk about my problems, and I just pour everything to her because you can talk to your problems with your friends and family, but just the depth of advice that you get from friends versus counselor is so different. So, yeah.
So in the process, when you were still in corporate and you started this and it started to just blossom, it's happening.
Yeah.
What about family or friends that were non-supportive were there, or you got more support? Because some people we spoke to in the past just got massive support, like barely any unsupporters.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of family, my husband is amazing. He supports me completely. He's the one that actually takes photo of all the 𝘼𝙨 photos. He takes it for me. He's super supportive. And I am really lucky to actually live in Hong Kong, that I can have helpers to help me out with the housework and stuff. Family, they were all super supportive. That's something that it's just really inevitable when you start putting yourself out there. You just can't avoid it, right? You put yourself out there, and if you don't get any negative, if you don't have any feedback at all, you should actually be worried that you're not getting any traction. You should be questioning your work. So I think any critiques or any feedback is good. I was actually once pretty worried when I first started YouTube channel. I was afraid, what if like people comment negative stuff, and what if I have a hater? And my friend 𝘾𝙤𝙣 told me, if you don't have a hater, then you should start a religion. And I thought that was like such a good way to think about it. And also a few weeks ago with Edry, we shoot at JTBC, we had a house tour of my apartment. And, you know, I live in a pretty nice apartment, so we did a house tour and it went live. And I started getting negative comments about how I'm from really rich family. I don't deserve to have a nice place because I just got married to a rich husband, which is not true, you know? And I was reading that and I was like, man, that could be really hurtful, but at the same time, they don't really know me. Those people out there, they're commenting on fake Ashley. They don't really know what I do every day, like how I hustle, how I came about so far. So I just thought of it as like they're all commenting on the fake Ashley. So it doesn't really bother me anymore.
Only recently or ever since?
No, ever since. It took me a few years, but I think I'm more confident now. Like I start thinking that people don't really know me if they are commenting negative stuff. So yeah, I learned that it doesn't really bother me anymore.
Okay. Well, I got a really, really interesting, but at the same time, deep question. I'm not sure how you'll answer, but let me ask because it just happened to be in my head right now. If you never met your husband and you never had your kids, where do you think you'll be today? Will you still be running your own brand? And will you still be in corporate tech?
That is such a good question.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I know I'm awesome.
I don't know.
Oh.
That's a good question, but I really don't know.
Okay. Should we cut the camera for 10 minutes and you can self-reflect? I'll meditate with you.
No, because I will never know. It just never happened to me. How am I supposed to know?
But either way, they were part of a huge inspiration.
My inspiration?
To keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have like a single role model that I look up to because everyone's life is super different. But I do listen to podcasts almost every day, listen to the book. So I try to get inspiration from the people from here and there. I get inspired from you, like people like you. Yeah, I meet every day. Like it's the people like you that really inspire me to start this. I listened to this podcast called How I Built This by 𝘾𝙤𝙧. Have you listened to that?
Not yet.
It's so good. It's about the startup founders, how they started their business and how their challenges and what they do in the progress. And it's in process. It's so inspiring. And I try to get myself in that mode every day. And I think actually going back to corporate, I think my boss also appreciates that because coming from as a business owner, I put that shoes and apply that in my corporate job too. So I try to kind of have the ownership and try to run it as if it is my own business. And I think my boss, who's the founder of the company, I think he really appreciates that.
I was actually going to ask something related to that. Like, if you never had corporate experience, how do you think it would differentiate if you just focused on the business?
Yeah, that would be very difficult.
What skills did you acquire here that really helped you apply to your business?
That would be very difficult. I mean, I've been in the big corporate like Google, and also I joined the Korean startup that only had 10 people, and now it's about 800 people. So I've been in all size of companies, and I learned what works in the big corporate and what doesn't work, and I try to apply that in my own company, in my business. And see, I just learned a lot. And also the managing style, like my boss, how I had many different the leadership styles, and I try to also apply good leadership style on my business and do that too. There's so many things that you can learn being in corporate, how to run business, and I really try to apply that to my business too.
So it would be really different if you never had corporate experience.
I think so.
I feel the same.
You think so?
Because in my industry, same thing. I'm not in corporate, right? So I have to just push products out, but not really, because there's management, there's KPIs, there's targets, there's things that you need to watch. And I learned all of this in corporate.
Yeah.
So if I never brought that here, I don't think I'll be where I am today.
Yeah. You're more structured.
Yeah, because in corporate, the toughest thing is these are the targets. We must hit it at this time. This is the deadline. If you start not hitting these deadlines, then we're going to have to talk to you and see if this is really for you.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Yeah.
Because for them, targets must be hit because everybody needs to get paid in their salary and every other expense and all their calculations. And the bigger it gets, the more higher the expense. So the heart becomes less as it grows larger. Compared to like your business, it's still young.
Yeah.
You can put more time. And product, like you said, you take 2 years, right? Normally, that's how it was back in the day, like before all this technology. Like a new DSLR camera would probably take 2 years, 3 years before a new one. But now every 6 months, there's a new cell phone in the market.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's changing so fast. You just can't really plan ahead that far because everything is changing so far. Who knew COVID was going to be here, right? You just can never really plan everything.
Well, before I ask like the last 2 questions, I still wanted to add this as well. For moms that are watching this, what advice would you give to them in terms of something you had high pressure on that you realize in the end you didn't really need to worry? Like you're focused on your full-time, you got to take care of kids. Maybe they don't have a business or maybe they start something.
It doesn't matter if you have a business, if you have a full-time job. I just have one thing to say to all moms out there. You're doing great. You're doing great, and that's all you need.
Just keep going.
Yeah, you're doing great. You don't need to be hard on yourself. I do that too. Like I feel always guilty that I can't really spend that much time with the kids, but I'm trying my best. So I know I'm doing great, and I need to always remind myself and kind of like encourage myself. And I want to encourage you guys, the moms out there, you're doing great. Don't feel guilty. Everything is fine. As long as kids are healthy and it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last 2 questions. In terms of growing up, it could be anybody. Who do you look up to most that also maybe changed your life?
As I mentioned earlier, I don't really have a single role model because...
Could be more than one.
Yeah, because I don't really have... I haven't really found anyone that lived the life that I'm living right now. So I try to get inspired from different books and podcasts, as I mentioned earlier. But I think if I have to really choose one person, that would probably be my mom. She was a single mother and had multiple jobs like me right now and taking care of 2 kids. And I grew up watching her like really just busting her life and just hustling. And I think she really influenced me. Yeah. And I learned a lot how to live life. It doesn't come for free. You really have to work to earn what you want.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. And shout out to your mom. And last question is, anything exciting that we should look forward to or secret?
Yeah, secret.
for next
It's a
year?
secret, so I can tell you.
Yeah, like your plans for 2024.
So thank you, bye.
Is it all secret?
No, I actually recently did happy hour meetup event in Hong Kong for the first time that I get to meet people who love 𝘼𝙨 products. And that was so fun. It was so sweet to meet everyone in person because my business is very online focused e-commerce business, right? So I never really get to meet them in person. So when I met them, it was just so empowering and really encouraging and kind of motivated me. Okay, this is why I did it. And I want to do that, if not this year, next year, in Korea, US, Singapore, everywhere that has people globally. Like, I want to meet them in person. So I want to do them more often. But it's also hard to, I know everyone says you need to set a goal, but I feel like it's so hard to set a goal because everything's changing and I like to kind of adjust and change as I go. I call it evolution.
I guess little goals.
Yeah. So I have a vague and kind of like general goals, but I don't really have like a specific goals that are kind of going towards. I just like to progress and change as I go. Yeah, but I definitely want to do the happy hour meetup events in different countries.
And soon enough, when there's too many fans, it's no longer going to be happy hour. It's going to be an actual 𝘼𝙨 event in partnership with other brands.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Cool. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that's about it. 𝘼𝙨 Park.
This is Hector.
Kinetic Outcome.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Good job.
Our aim is to provide value. So if you like what you watched, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'm also a financial advisor based in Hong Kong, so feel free to check the description box for my details and email or DM. And if ever you need video and photography services, the phenomenal videos you're watching right now are filmed by 𝘖𝙧𝙗𝙧 Mendoza. Lastly, if you love hip-hop music, rap, R&B, singing, whichever that sounds amazing to your ears because I always do a lot of experiments with it, feel free to drop by my channel at SCF Saint or Saint Crossfade. Appreciate you for being part of this episode and more to come. Till next time.